Well, we couldn't be in a more beautiful place. This is the cabin where, um, see the name up there? Hammond. This is the cabin where I get a lot of my writing done and do a lot of my work, and I really love it up here. And I love working up here. And I'm recording this video for you right now to help you get through the second week of Management 3710. Now, already you are in a situation where you're, gosh, maybe a little bit strange in that you've got this video game that you're supposed to do as a team. We're trying to give you a team experience, and we're trying to give you an experience that you can analyze. And we're trying to get you into a position where you may not be familiar with things, and you need to rely on your team members to get through this. And that's why we are doing this class in a rather odd way and a fun way. I hope you find this to be a fun way. So that's what the objective of this class is. But then the content of it, the actual content, the stuff that you need to know, is stuff that you are going to have to get in this class. And that's why I'm going to go through things week by week and do a video for you week by week and sort of tell you what you need to know and what you're doing each week. Now, you have the Harvard Best Reads on Teams, the first, those 10 articles, and that's where I need you to read each one of those articles and read them very, very carefully and know that material. It's very important to know that material. That's where all the quizzes will come from. So I need you to look at that really carefully and work on it really carefully. That's where all of you will get citations for your papers and ideas for your paper as you write this analysis of your team experience. That's where you'll get ideas from. And the first two articles that you read this week, the first one is the first one in the middle of the book. Or not in the middle, at the beginning of the book, I'm sorry. It's right there in the beginning of the book. Why is that article important? Why is any of this important? Well, let me tell you that one of the things that I've been doing lately, and I'm going to talk about this more throughout the class, is I've been working with a group with the ideas related to highly reliable teams. Why are highly reliable teams important? Because there's certain kind of environments, there's certain places in the world where we need people to work together, completely together on the same page. We live in a world that has complex problems in it. When I say complex problems, there are characteristics of complex problems that are really important. One of them is a complex problem is unique enough and difficult enough that no one person can solve it. So you can't get Steve Jobs, you can't get Thomas Edison, you can't get Albert Einstein, you can't get the smartest, best person in the world. You have to get somebody to work with you in solving that problem. And so that's a complex problem by definition, is you need collaboration. You need people to work together in order to find the solution to that problem. And that's how most problems are these days. But there's a second element that you need to understand in a lot of team situations. And that's that failure is not an option on some teams. There are a lot of teams where failure is an option. It can happen and it's okay. But there are some teams where failure is not an option. I went in a few days ago for a minor surgical procedure. There's not a failure option there. I don't want anyone to fail there. And I was very impressed with the team. They worked together as a team. They did this regularly. They talked openly. They critiqued each other. They were appreciative of each other. They worked together as a team. There's not an option for failure in a surgical team. I will be flying on an airplane in the next few days. The team in the cockpit, whether there are 2 or 3 of them, that includes the flight crew. In fact, if you see the movie Sully, or you ought to see the movie Sully, you get a sense of the team environment in an airplane. You don't want any failure there. There's no room for failure there. So you don't want any of that. Another place that is alive and well for me, you see my little t-shirt here. Yeah, there we go. It's search and rescue. Oh, it's over here. Okay, anyway, it's over here. It's hard to see this. Search and rescue. Okay. In search and rescue, I work with search and rescue teams a lot, and there's no room for failure. In fact, the idea there is to persist and persist and persist until you do not fail, till you have success. And so there are highly reliable teams and requirements for highly reliable teams. And that's what this first article is about. It's about the communication and collaboration that's required to get in a highly collaborative team. And she talks a little bit about the idea of visualization, how you have to sort of see things together and work through things together to get things right. And I find this to be true, particularly when you see these highly reliable teams. They work together and visualize something together and rehearse something together and train together, so that when the real thing comes, it is so familiar to them that it's not a problem. It's just not a problem for them. I see that in search and rescue. I see this in rope teams where they are. There was a fellow in Utah County. His name is Kevin. This happened a couple of years ago, and it came to a call out. And there was a guy who had parachuted right at the mouth of Provo Canyon. He had done a base jump parachute off these cliffs that were not high enough. And the wind came up, and as he jumped, he thought, I better pull my chute immediately. He jumps, pulls his chute opens. Before he goes very far, it snags on the side of the cliff, and there you've got a guy 200 feet down or 150 feet down on this cliff and 150 feet above the ground on this cliff on a parachute. And they had to get a rope team above him with a very, very long rope and get down there and rescue this guy. And it was amazing to see what they went through and what they thought about and how they went through all of the problem solving with that. But the reason they did it, the reason they were able to do it, is because it was familiar to them. They had been there before. They'd done that before. They'd thought about it before. They had had similar successes before. And one of the things that they do in teams like that, and I love this when we do this, is that you have briefings, you have incident commands, you have all these things, but after the briefing, you do something called an after-action review. And in an after-action review, everybody stands in a circle and they take their rank off. They take their position off. Everybody who was involved in the rescue or in the operation in any way stands in a circle, and you go person by person. You say, what went well? What could we do better? What went well? What could we do better? And everybody gets a chance to talk and give feedback about how we can be better when we have to respond to this the next time this happens. And so that's one of the contexts in which this first article helps you understand why it's so important that you have these communication and collaborative processes that are so important. Now, in the second article, there's some really important ideas. There are actually 8 of them, not 7 and not 6, but 8 ideas about how you can build collaborative teams. And I think that's an interesting, really important and interesting set of ideas, because it helps you see. I'm going to get up here and just actually get the book. See? The book. See? The article. It helps you see and understand why this is so important. So I got my little stick right here. We're going to open it to right there. The key ideas in practice. And, this is Grattan and Erickson, of course, 8 ways to build collaborative teams. And the thing that I really like about, by the way, this book or these books is you get this section here that helps you look at it in summary. And so you can read it once in depth, and then you can go back and review it in these summaries. See, I'm trying to make it easy for you. But it asks a great question, what team leaders can do. And this is the one thing about leadership with teams, is that you're always thinking about how to make it better, how to improve your team, how you can be better. There's no fault. There's no blame. You don't blame others. You don't get angry at others. You don't dismiss others. You're always focused on how to make it better. So read these 2 articles, know these 2 articles, work on these 2 articles. They're really, really, really important. And then think about this and apply it in this game that you're working on. Now, if there are problems with the game, this is the first time we've ever done this. I know it's a beta test. And so if there are problems and frustrations, we're going to work these out as we go, as we move along. I do need you to do a good job keeping careful logs about your experience. Write about this experience. Write about how you're feeling. Address the questions we're giving you. And it should go. We should have a lot of good learning together. Thanks, guys, and call me or Jessica if there are any questions or concerns. Take care.